Welcome back everyone to Showbiz India, and today it is my pleasure to welcome Sunny Leone to Showbiz India and to Los Angeles. It's great to see you. You look wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Of course. So Sunny, I'd love to get to know you better, and so would the audience. Let's talk about your childhood. Tell me about your growing up years.
I was born in Canada.
You were born in Canada?
I was born in Canada near 3 hours outside of Toronto in a small little town. And yeah, my brother and I were born and raised there until about, I want to say, 15, 16 years ago, we moved to Southern California.
Oh, okay. But your parents are from India, or your family's from India?
Both my parents are from Punjab.
I see. So now have you ever been to India?
Many times.
Before even Bollywood?
Yeah, before Bollywood too. Yeah, I've been there a few different times, and you know, to see family, and I guess your typical family going back to go see family.
Right.
So it was always fun.
So now, growing up, how much of the Indian culture did you embrace? Because I know that's always sometimes an issue with, you know, Indians born here, second generations. They feel caught between the two cultures. Did you ever experience that?
My parents were really good about making sure my brother and I were very well informed about our religion and our culture growing up. When we lived in Canada, there was a larger Indian population there. So we would be in Gurdwara every Sunday, every Saturday night there would be something going on, or we would be with, you know, other Indian families and on different Indian functions. So my parents were really good about making sure that we were well aware of, you know, who we are and where we came from.
Now, you transitioned to California. How old were you at that time?
I was 14.
So right,
14,
starting high school?
First year high school was in Michigan. When we moved from Canada to the U.S., we stayed 1 year in Michigan. And then my second year of high school was here in Orange County, California, which was a very hard transition.
Why?
The people here are different. Kids here are different. The city was called Port Huron. In Port Huron, I walked into one classroom, and I mean, by the end of a couple of classes and the beginning of lunch, I already heard people going, "Hey, come sit with us," you know, and everybody was friends. Here, everybody's a little bit more cliquey. They were very image conscious, even when you're a teenager here. They like their little groups of people, and it was interesting.
It was a difficult adjustment.
Yeah, very, very difficult.
So, am I correct in understanding that you had first thought about nursing as a career?
Yeah, when I got out of high school, I wanted to be a pediatric nurse.
And then you ran into the world of modeling?
From there I met a girl who introduced me to an agent. And I'd already been, you know, thinking the idea of modeling. I took modeling, you know, regular modeling photos and met with different photographers and was submitting, you know, pictures to different auditions and this and that. So that was always something that was there that I wanted to do. And I met an agent who then introduced me to the person who shot me for Penthouse magazine.
How did your family feel?
Well, my family didn't feel anything because I didn't tell them. I didn't tell my parents about anything about what I was doing until I won Penthouse Pet of the Year. And at that point, I couldn't hide it anymore.
Right.
There's a moment in your career where you think you can hide things from people and no one's going to find out. But that was one of those moments, it's like career-defining moments in adult anyways, where it would be too hard to hide, and it was. And you know, the rest of the family did find out, but my parents, I'd already explained to my parents, you know, what was going on and what I was doing. So it wasn't that crazy shock to my parents because they were ready for it.
But it must have been difficult, was it?
You know, when I first got into the industry and I, you know, was Penthouse Pet, I got a lot of hate mail from the Indian community, and it wasn't nice. Every time I would see an email that would start off anywhere, I would just press delete and I wouldn't read any of it. And it was interesting because I wasn't, even though my parents did a good job of keeping us very in tune with the Indian culture and our religion and all this stuff, I wasn't in tune to the entertainment world. So for me, it was just a press of a delete button. It didn't hurt my feelings. And, you know, you read a couple and you're like, wow, people are really angry. But they don't even know me, so how can they be angry with me? It doesn't make any sense. And I was like 20 years old when that was going on. So it was a while ago. So just press delete and that was it. It wasn't until I won Penthouse Pet of the Year that I became Indian again to them. I was part of their culture, I was part of their, you're one of us, you know.
So there was a shift.
Oh, it was a complete shift. When I won Pet of the Year, I became a part of the Indian culture again.
How interesting.
But before that, I wasn't. What I've noticed over the last year that I've been going back and forth to India and being on the Big Boss show and just dealing with everybody there is that our culture is so emotional and we're so like passionate about everything we love and also everything that we hate. And with a flip of a switch and a little bit of love, then they go, oh, well, you are a nice person, so I don't care what you did in the past and I don't care who you were and I love you just the way that you are. And that's how our culture is, and it sometimes doesn't make sense, but you know, it is what it is, I guess.
Has anyone ever come up to you who's a conservative and been critical, and if so, how have you dealt with that?
No, I find that most people that have something to say, they usually say it behind something. It's a computer or a phone or, you know, like Twitter and all the social marketing. And at that point, it was all email. So it wasn't people that were coming up to me and coming straight to my face and saying how they feel, because they just didn't do that. And I think people like the anonymous nature of them saying what they felt about who I was, which meant that they were looking at my material, which meant that they were looking at the same thing that I was doing. So maybe they're just as guilty as I am. But they like the idea of being anonymous. And most people like that when, you know, most people complain and they send hate mail or they have something to say. They're usually saying it with protection around them.
Now you use the word guilty. Do you feel guilty?
No, not at all. I think for them, they felt so bad that they were feeling guilty. So they think that I would feel the same way. And I don't, otherwise I wouldn't have continued to be in the industry that I'm in for as long as I've been in the industry. And I've been really fortunate, and I've gotten the best of the best and worked with the best people here in LA.
Now you are a very big name in the adult film world. And your name, however, and your look, you're a beautiful woman, but you don't exactly look Indian, neither does your name indicate Indian. Was that just coincidence, or?
Well, I think Sunny's a pretty typical Indian name. But Leone, when I posed for Penthouse magazine, I said, I don't know what my last name should be. You guys pick it. And the owner of the magazine's Italian, so hence the Italian last name. And because of the world that we live in, you have to have that anonymous name where people can't look you up and they can't track you down, because now we can track anybody down with, you know, a little bit of research.
Right. Now, when you saw yourself as Pet of the Year, how did you feel? Your spread.
Well, I didn't understand what being Penthouse Pet meant until I went on my first couple of appearances, where somebody would come up with your picture and just be going crazy and go, please, will you sign my magazine, will you sign my picture, I love you, and like, you know, like I love who you are and I appreciate who you are and you're so pretty and beautiful, and all of a sudden you're sitting there going, what is going on here? This is the craziest thing that I've ever encountered. Somebody wants my autograph on a piece of paper. Well, the piece of paper was a picture of me, but you know, it never fully hit me until I started doing a couple of appearances, and that's what they did. We went all over the world and all over the country. And when I won Pet of the Year, I was actually driving home from school and from one of my classes, and the woman said, I think you should pull over. I was like, oh, right, something wrong. Like, I thought something was wrong with her. We were, you know, been working together for so long. And she's like, you won Pet of the Year. And I didn't believe her, and I went home and I was just sitting there going, I won? Like, what does that mean? Like, did she call the right number? You know, and I was just in a little bit of shock, you know.
So how did that change your life?
Oh, it completely changed. Being Pet of the Year was like it's a game changer. you know, in the adult world, all of a sudden you're put in a different category. You're not just a girl anymore, you're Penthouse Pet of the Year. And I'm not really sure how Penthouse runs their company now, but when I was Pet of the Year, it was the most amazing thing ever. You got this beautiful diamond and ruby necklace, and you won $100,000. And I don't know about you, but at 21, that's a lot of money. Yes. At any age, that's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And that was just a bonus. That was just, here, you won. It's like winning the lottery. It was great. I was traveling every single week of the year. I was in a different city, a different country, a different state, a different, you know, bar or appearance or TV show or, you know, whatever it was. They did such a good job of making sure that whoever was Pet of the Year had so many appearances throughout the year, and it really like helps you get culture at such a young age, and helps you understand how the world works, and how, you know, you travel, you meet people you never thought you would ever meet before, and just having a conversation with them. They could be the smartest people or, you know, not so smart, and you learn things from them. So I learned a lot.
So now tell me your transition into Bollywood. How did Pooja Bhatt discover you?
Well, I was on a show called Bigg Boss 5, and my husband came up to me one day and he's like, there's a show, it's like Big Brother India, it's called Bigg Boss, it's called Bigg Boss 5, this is the season, and do you want to do the show? And I said, are you mad? Like, there's no way I'm going to India, and there's no way I'm going to India, Sunny Leone, and going to be on TV. Are you crazy? They'll be so upset with me. Like, I don't need that in my life. I'm happy with, you know, everything that's going on. I don't want to have a reoccurrence of what happened the first time around when I, you know, got into entertainment. I go, and it's a different country. We're not even in the country that we live in. And he's like, all right, calm down, relax, and just kind of dropped the subject. And then a few weeks later, he came back and said, well, they're actually really serious. Here's a presentation for their company of Viacom, of Colors, of Bigg Boss 5, the whole nine. I was staring at a PowerPoint presentation from them and reading about their company and reading about who they were and Viacom and Colors, and that's when I was like, wow, it's a pretty big show. You know, it's watched by 25 million people, and over so many different countries. I think it was like 13 countries or something like that. But it was scary. I have to tell you, it was really, really scary, because before we even got to India, they'd booked our flight, was going on the show, and all of a sudden, I think it was one of the people that worked, you know, for the company, got into a little bit of trouble, a little bit of heat from me, you know, coming on the show, got leaked out. So obviously big scandal in India. I thought I wasn't going on the show at all. I thought that was it, like, we're not going on the show. I'd already mentally prepared myself that I wasn't going to go on anymore, and that was it. That was the chance, and it's now gone. Right. And then all of a sudden, I think it was like 48 or 36 hours before the flight, they booked and said, you're coming, and this is your flight information, and here we go. We're just, you know, the whole world knows you're coming now, and they kind of just fed off the idea of that, which is where you see all those crazy clips of when I first landed in India and all the press and the people going crazy.
And you were actually scared?
We were walking out, and I brought, part of the deal is that I wanted my own security person to come, because I didn't know who these people were. I didn't know how secure they were going to keep me, at least if I had my own. He's like an undercover LA detective here. He's a sheriff. He's really amazing at his job. Then at least I have someone of my own with me. So then we were walking out of the airport, and all of a sudden it was like being engulfed by so many people all at once, because they were just excited. It wasn't that they were mad. They were so excited that I was there, the cameras, the people, and all of a sudden the airport security saying, and like they're in full fatigues and big gigantic guns. Wow. And standing there like, you need to go back inside. And so we go back inside and we wait till they part. Basically, all these army guys with their big old guns, arm in arm, creating a path so that we could walk through because it was that difficult to get to a car. And we did a couple of questions and said hello to India, and they were really, really nice to me, the press. So from the show is how Pooja then, you know, she sent her dad in. Her dad came in the house. He talked to me about the movie, talked to me about his daughter, and then what was going on outside was my husband and their company talking to each other and, you know, figuring things out while I was still in the house.
Were you excited to become a part of Bollywood?
You know what, I just didn't believe, I kind of just didn't really believe it. Like, we're in the entertainment industry, and there's always a lot of people out there that smoke, you know, like blow a lot of hot air. And he came in the house, and I didn't know if it was like a mess with your brain type of situation to piss off all the other housemates, because he didn't come in there to see anybody else. He came in there to see me. And you know, I was also scared that he would leak out that who I was. So every time there would be a guest from outside, my heart would be pounding. Going, oh, please don't leak out the information. I want to do it myself. I just want the perfect time to do it. So, I mean, he came in, we talked. He's such a nice man, and I could finally breathe because he's like, don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody. Relax, and I get to be myself for a few moments. And he's a very inspiring man, and he's very, very talented, and he's very good at what he does in the film industry, and I respect him a lot.
Absolutely.
So that's how they got a hold of me.
What was your experience like working in Bollywood?
I mean, obviously it's different. I didn't grow up speaking Hindi every day. I understood Hindi, most of it. Understood, you know, Punjabi, because that's what we grew up with. Watched Hindi movies through my whole life. Loved them. But it's different to actually get like a 200-page script, and you have to now memorize the lines and understand what they mean and understand what the other person is saying to you, you know, and saying it properly, which was, you know, even though my voice is dubbed, I still have to say everything perfectly, because if it's not perfect the way that I'm saying it, even with an accent or not, it's still going to sound funny.
So can you say a dialogue that's perhaps your favorite dialogue from the film?
One of them is, "Ye jism tapti ret ki tarah pi jata tha an leron ko." That's one I remember.
Yeah.
That has the word jism in it.
So when you finished the film and you saw yourself on screen, did you feel different?
I watched it the first time, and it takes a second to get used to the idea of somebody else's voice on yours, on your body. It was a little weird, but somewhere in there, I'm an avid movie lover, so I did a complete separation of the person I was watching, and oh, that was me. I started watching the story. I started watching the movie. So I enjoyed it. I was happy at the end of it. If this is my first performance, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because you never know at the end of the day how your director and video editors are going to edit how you look, how you talk, how each scene, what scene they think is the best, and what scene you think is the best is completely different. So it was a nice moment at the end of watching it.
So what was your favorite scene?
I guess my favorite scenes would probably be the more dramatic ones, because you can be happy and, you know, like sexy, I guess, all day long, but those scenes are something that take a little bit of extra effort. You have to pull, you have to like cry, you have to like have that look on your face, or at least try to have the look on your face, like you're convincing the viewer of how you feel. And that's a challenge. That's something that, you know, I've never done before. Being on a set for so many days, working on one movie, working with the same people every day for that length of time.
So would you do another Bollywood film?
I am doing another Bollywood film. I'm starting to shoot my next movie in January called Ragini Mms 2 with Balaji. And Ekta signed me before she even saw me on screen, before she even saw the movie. She signed me while I was, you know, right after my diction class. She, you know, we met, we saw each other, we had a meeting, and they told me about the story and about Ragini and what they plan on doing, and it was really exciting. You know, to see people really excited about their movie, you get excited about the movie.
Yeah,
and if you like the story, then, you know, it works out well.
Now, is it true that you have your own production company as well?
I have one here. Well, we make adult movies, and my production company is partnered with Vivid, does our distribution, and we release probably about 2 to 3 films a month, and it's a self-running company, so it's nice. It doesn't because we've put so much. My husband's put so much time and effort into this company that now it's sort of a self-running, self-functioning company. So we can spend a lot of time in India, and we can spend a lot of time on this new project, which is all about India.
Now, that must be such a disappointment for all the men out there listening to this, that you are married. You are their fantasy girl. What is your fantasy man? The definition of your fantasy man?
Well, obviously, it's my husband. But I think it's finding somebody that is similar to what I guess you are, your own interests, and he's really driven, and he has his own steel factory in Brooklyn, New York, is how I met him. And, you know, we're always on the same page. We're always, you know, on the same page with business and, you know, our personal lives. We spend almost every day together. Sorry, guys. We're totally killing it for everybody. But, you know, the whole world knows that we're married. It's not something that's new,
right.
New information. But I do believe in the idea of, you know, I think fans are going to always follow you no matter what, whether you're married or have kids. I know in this industry it's something that's not of the norm, but he's my best friend. He's, you know, we are best friends, best buddies, and he also happens to be my husband, and we work together, and we, you know, we share a life together. So, you know, I don't plan on not shooting movies because I'm married or because I'll have kids one day, or so that I hope they don't shy away from. But I think when you want to find a partner, whether it's man or a woman, you want to find someone that you can spend every single day with and love them more than you loved them yesterday.
That's very, very well said, and good for you. And we thank you so much for your candor and taking the time out. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks for having me.